Hi, I'm Larry Fleischman, Director of Marketing for Televerde, and welcome to another Televerde Insight video. Today we're talking with David Wiseman. David is Director of Business Development for Sybase, where he oversees the business development needs for Sybase's analytics product lines. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
So talk to us a little bit about your role as a Business Development Director, what you're responsible for at Sybase.
Right. Yeah, there's really like two main functions that I'm responsible for. The first is a traditional field marketing type of role, where we're really focused on pipeline building and how do we generate programs that are going to generate inquiries, how do we qualify those, generate leads for our sales force, and really then transition that into the pipeline of opportunities that results from that. So, for example, this would be things such as syndication of content, trade shows, webinars, all the types of inquiry generation activities that you would anticipate, coupled with a series of nurturing programs, telemarketing programs to really do the further qualification and lead generation from those inquiries. The other half of my responsibilities are really more around traditional business development, working with prospects, working with salespeople, to really engage with customers, to really understand their requirements, and to really help build the value proposition for them so that we actually can have a good solid opportunity. So I really try to break my time down between more the planning, management, strategy side on marketing, and then a lot of my actual hours are spent working with sales, working with prospects, and really trying to drive things through the pipeline.
And for how many years have you had this set of responsibilities for Sybase?
This particular set for about 3 years at this point in time. I've been at Sybase since 1997, doing a number of activities, originally around pre-sales engineering work, as well as some of the product management work, as well as a variety of marketing things. But this particular combination, it's really been for the last several years.
So you've been around since 97, and sales and marketing has changed quite a bit over the last 14, 15 years or so. So talk to us a little bit about how your role on both sides of the business have evolved.
Right. Well, I think the first thing is the expectations of the buyer, of the client, have changed. When I started in 97, we were still really in the feature benefit model. Right? There's a new release coming out. What are the key features of that release? What are the benefits to you, Mr. Client? So it was really product focused, and we've gone through a pretty significant transformation now where it's really more about business value. So what are you trying to accomplish in your business? What are the drivers that are going to give value to your business, and then how is technology going to help you with that? So that means in terms of how we engage with prospects, how we communicate with them, how we actually work them through the pipeline. We have to take that totally different mindset now. It's not about what are we bringing to the table from a product viewpoint, it's what are they trying to accomplish in their business, and then how do we happen to facilitate them.
All right, and you conduct this business through both an internal sales model and also outsourcing.
That's correct. So we, from the telemarketing viewpoint, the lead qualification, lead generation viewpoint, we have a combination of internal resources, and they're doing things such as monitoring our inbound lines, monitoring our web chat activity, following up on specific programs, particularly things where we're doing particular programs for particular reps. And then we have an outsourced model for a lot of our more volume-driven activities. So inquiries that are coming in from advertising programs, following up to things such as webinar events, actually scheduling and getting people on site and in-person events. But the other thing we do for the external the external resources is we also tie those resources into our lead nurturing program. So they're not just reaching out one time, but reaching out through a series of controlled and planned touches, so that when those leads come over to our sales team, they're very well developed at that point in time.
So different sets of responsibilities for both models. So obviously you're managing them differently, setting expectations differently. So talk to us a little bit about how you, when you wear both those hats, how you look at those responsibilities differently, how you manage them differently.
Right. and I'm not sure I would really say that the measurement is different, because the end goal in all cases is how many opportunities do we get into the pipeline, and are those opportunities that actually progress and generate revenue? So that's really the same measurement of success. It's more kind of the steps along the way and how you measure those steps along the way. So I think on our internal team, It's really a lot about a lot more critical how they're actually engaging and working with the individual members of the sales team, the direct field sales team. For the outsourced folks, are the leads and things that are being generated and turned over to the outside sales team. Are we hitting our metric expectations in terms of how well those are accepted by the field? So so there's obviously overlap there, but in my mind that's the kind of the key differentiation. One's really about building that internal relationship in the organization, and the other is about really meeting a quality expectation.
So it is set up with alignment in mind. And are you seeing that alignment come to fruition?
Yeah, absolutely. It's set up with alignment in mind. Whether it comes to fruition or not, we're dealing with people here. We're dealing with salespeople here, so that varies. And I think in a lot of cases, I see a strengthening of that alignment over the past couple of years, and that's because some of the processes we put in place on the front end kind of do a better job of qualifying, doing a better job of doing that pre-assessment, so that when things come over to the sales rep, they're a higher quality, which builds confidence, which is a facilitator for that development of a strong working relationship.
Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit here. We know that contact data management, contact data strategies is a challenge for a lot of sales and marketing organizations. Are you experiencing any of that at Sybase, and if so, how are you addressing that?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, I think everybody faces that. A couple of areas I see it. We run campaigns with a variety of media organizations, so the data comes in different formats, so you have that basic kind of format issue. But kind of more important than that is you get into just the naming type of things, right? So particularly with people, sometimes they're using for e-channels, they're using personal or scratch email addresses, for example, right? Or they're putting bogus phone numbers in. Whereas things that are more direct engaged, such as in-person events, high-value analyst papers that we're offering, these types of things, typically you'll see them using their corporate emails, using their desk phones. So then it becomes a challenge of how do I kind of look for the matches there and pull that together.
Standardize things. That's
standardization. So it's the it's kind of the structure of the information, standardizing it, and then the content, standardizing it, and then the churn rate. There's a lot of churn within the customer base. How do you keep up with where someone is? And it's important too, when someone goes from company to company, that you not lose your history with that person just because they switch companies. As often they're actually still working and focusing in some of the same types of areas. So you don't want to re-engage with them cold just because they're in a new organization. So I think that's another little nuance to look at. It's who's the right person in this company at this point in time, but where did this other person go, and should I try to engage with them there to continue the conversation I had started when they were with their previous employer?
Which again kind of goes back to the lead nurturing topic you were talking about earlier. I'm interested to hear your opinions on this concept of lead nurturing, and specifically integrated lead nurturing, where there's calling kind of interspersed with the digital approaches. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel relatively positive about that, though sometimes I worry that the people that respond to that the most well, you get the best response from to that type of program, are the ones that have the most time on their hands, right? And so you have to be sensitive there, that you're not just getting a data miner, that you're going to get someone who's actually going to take that ore and meld it into something valuable. So I think it definitely plays a role, but it might be more from an organizational aspect of, in this company, when we look at all the different people we have touching us from that company, what patterns can we draw, and from that, can we identify the high probability of this type of initiative is underway, and then get to the right person for that, versus too much focus on one particular individual and their particular specific behavior. Because the other thing I think that drives that is a lot of the outward engagement that people are doing just through web searches. I think that that's kind of the foot in the door, and once you get them in that place and they've come to you and they've engaged with you and shared your information, then they're going in a nurturing program. But I think sometimes maybe the most proactive buyers almost are making a decision before you get them to the nurturing. So you have to be a little sensitive to that. And that's why I try to look at it from a company viewpoint. Look across this company, what are the patterns of engagement?
So analysis is key to it.
Oh, absolutely. So we are in the data analysis business after all.
And that's an appropriate way to end the conversation. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.